So, in the middle of all the heat and noise of the election campaign, where are the big ideas, the vision that will shape not just the next couple of years, but the decades ahead? Well, on the news at 5 over the next couple of weeks, we'll be inviting some of the country's leading figures to explain how party policy might actually translate into a vision of the future. With me here in the studio, I'm pleased to say, is the Queen guitarist, Brian May, who's encouraging people to vote, regardless of party, through the launch of his Common Decency Campaign. Also here is the businessman and nightclub owner, Peter Stringfellow, and the barrister and the Football Association's only female director, Heather Rabbatts. It's great to have you all here. Thanks very much indeed for coming in. Brian, I'm going to start with you. I mean, you're quoted as saying, the more I've seen how Parliament works, the more I want to bang my head against the wall. Now, I hesitate to ask you this. In the middle of this election campaign, has the possibility of you nutting a wall actually increased or decreased?
It's actually a misquote. What I said was I've been banging my head against the wall for the last 5 years and I've got nowhere, so the only thing to do is knock the wall down. That's what I'm saying.
And not with your head?
Preferably not with the head,
okay,
metaphorically speaking.
Ruin the hair.
Okay,
yeah,
exactly. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you do that?
Well, I believe we can, and it's all about, I mean, I'm calling it common decency. It's about getting people to vote, number one. You know, that's the big thing for us, because so many people don't want to vote. Because
Did you vote last time?
Do you know what? That's my impetus. I didn't vote last time. I was so busy telling everyone else what to do, I actually didn't get down to the polling station.
All right, so it wasn't out of conviction, you just didn't have the time.
It wasn't apathy, but also...
that's even worse, isn't it?
Well, it is bad, and I think I'm the same as all these other people who don't vote, because they think, how can I make a difference, particularly if I live in a safe seat? What's the point of me going down there and voting because this guy's got a huge majority, which is not going to change? I believe we have a system which can change that, which can make every vote count. It's all based around these.
Right.
It's pie chart politics, if you like.
Right.
I used to teach, so I think a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Okay. Make it brief now.
I'll make my pitch to you. I've already made my pitch to these two.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last election. This is one particular constituency. I'm not going to tell you which one yet.
Okay.
This is the guy who won. He happens to be blue, but we're colourblind, so we don't care. He's the winner.
Yeah.
These guys didn't
Conservative.
win. He happens to be in this case, yeah, but it could be either.
I'm not colourblind, Brian.
I'm colourblind. You can tell by my badges.
All right, go on.
But
go on.
I've got Labour ones as well.
Yeah.
I've got all sorts. These are the guys who didn't win, you know, and it looks like, well, this is a safe seat. It looks like there's no point in voting for these guys because you couldn't possibly win. This is a huge majority. But look at this. This is all the people who didn't vote. It's a huge percentage. Yeah. So if all these people got together and decided that perhaps one of these guys was a very decent guy and would represent them really well in Parliament, regardless of which party they're in, they could make a difference. They could get, you see, this plus this can push him out.
Okay. I mean, but that is, you know, a perennial problem, frankly, isn't it? I mean, Heather, I mean, you know, you've been dubbed the most powerful woman in Britain.
Yeah,
okay?
it's not true.
Well, this is it. Well, this is it. I'm going to test I'm going to test your powers now. You made Radio 4 Woman's Hour's power list. I want you to use those powers now, right?
Yeah.
To imagine that you could do anything to change our political culture. What would you do?
I think I would actually make that change that says, you know what, it's compulsory that everybody gets out there and vote.
Yeah.
And as we know in some countries, you know, it is an offence if you don't vote. It was hard fought. Not least by the suffragettes who hard fought for women, but it was a hard fought. People died for that vote. And you know, you look at other countries, you look at people queuing for days to exercise their vote. And actually, I think you should vote for what you care about. And it may well be, I think increasingly we're going to see more individual politics. It's the end of the two-party system, as we've seen from the debate.
Couldn't agree more.
Now
Can I shake your hand right now?
Agree.
This is what we need.
This is what we like. This is what we like.
And that's what makes the difference.
Okay, does that sound like a good idea to you? Does that sound like a good idea to you?
Reasonable, but I'm a little bit more pragmatic in the respect that aspirational classes have been forgotten. All ages, all types, all colours, all nations. Aspirational in Great Britain is being held down. It's great to be aspirational according to Labour, providing you're limited. Don't earn over £150,000
Right,
very evil.
Okay.
But no, inspirational people are the ones who pay taxes, and they're very important.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you are a Tory donor.
I know, I'm anybody that says the aspirational classes, and it happens to be Tory. Let me just tell you, I think UKIP's manifesto is very good, by the way.
And I'm very glad that Mr. Farage has even read it from cover to cover.
I'm going to ask you about Nigel Farage in a minute, but I want to stay with Peter. I mean, one of your key mantras, and you brought some of it out just then, is that government should be cutting taxes. You firmly believe in supply-side economics, Reagan-esque, Thatcherite policies.
I'm your man for Reagan and Thatcher.
Okay, Peter, but That very mantra has been followed for the last generation, so pretty much, probably longer than that, 30 years. Isn't that the very thing that has caused the kind of disaffection that the public have with society in general and politics in particular, particularly the widening gap between rich and poor?
You're right, and I cannot defend the top element of people who have done that. They're massive, horrible bankers, but they're not all horrible, because we are in a capitalistic society. Someone's going to earn more money than others.
What's your attitude to inherited wealth, then? These people who are
My God, I wish my father left me £10 million. Let me just tell you that. He didn't. He left me nothing. But I insist that I'm going to leave something for my kids. No inheritance tax, please. Nigel Farage has got his finger on the button there. And I hope David Cameron goes through with it when he gets in.
I don't agree.
But isn't that the politics of the South? Isn't that, you know, you're a businessman.
Right.
And, you know, you're an high income earner.
I'm very much, not as big as him, but...
So it's interesting, actually, isn't it? Because, you know, wealthy people, but you're saying that, you know, you want to maintain that, potentially at the expense of the rest of society.
No, I don't. I've taken 52 years to get here.
Or am I pushing that too hard?
Yeah, I think you're pushing that too hard.
Let me
Okay, just finish and then have the
accusation. I've got to answer it. No, not at the expense of anybody else. I have paid thousands, if not millions, in taxes. I'm 74. Let me have the rest of my life. And the money I earn, I pay fortunes in taxes. Don't take another 5%. Ed Balls, there's something wrong with his brain. If he actually thinks there's no such thing as a trickle-down economy, of course we live in one.
Trickle-down economics.
Sorry.
Heather, you thought I was a bit strong then.
I think where I would agree with Peter is this whole point about aspiration. You know, I came from a background that didn't have anything, and it was about ensuring that, and sadly we still see it today, that kids are not given that support to be aspiring, whether we have in terms of our education system. So wherever you come from, I think aspiration is absolutely crucial.
Can I ask you, why aren't you paying their education fees then? Why are you still making them pay back these loans, the students?
I'm not doing that, Brian. As far as I'm concerned, giving them free. I'm not doing that. I don't believe in everything that the Conservatives agree. Neither do the Dems, because they changed their mind.
But they can't do that because they've cut the top rate of tax.
Help it.
They've cut the top rate of tax, which is what you want. So they can't
No, they didn't cut it.
Have free education.
It was 40% under Thatcher, and then Gordon Brown went and put it up to 50, and the Camerons came back in with George and put it down to 45. Nobody's given me anything. I've earned every damn penny I've got.
Brian.
And so have I. I came from a poor
very much so.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of yours, Brian, and Queen. Give me one of those shields.
But what we still notice, is that lack of social mobility. The gap has got wider, and it's the same group of people who are perpetuating and staying, as we all know, in certain parts of the sort of controlling heights of the economy. And I think that my point about aspiration...
Not everybody stays there.
Not everybody does, but we need to encourage
Manchester, New York, Miami, Beverly Hills, London, Paris.
Brian, how do you encourage the brand generation?
Russell Brand. Well,
Russell Brand, yeah. I mean, as someone who's made it clear that he doesn't think there's any point in voting.
Well, I think he's been slightly misquoted. What he's saying is the current system doesn't encourage me. Now, let me say this. You know, I agree with a lot that Russell Brand said. Not quite all of it, but an awful lot of it. And I think in the end he will encourage people to vote. And I'm hoping that I will persuade him, as well as all of you, that this system will work. I think we can be a swarm. All us people who perhaps didn't vote last time or didn't know what they were doing. We can remove the fat cats and we can get a decent parliament next time. It's crucial. If we don't use that vote this time, we will lose the chance. For the next 5 years, we will have no say.
Right, there's only one way that's going to happen. Only one way, and that's this way. When we vote via this, that is not going to be a gap anymore. Everyone will vote and the world will change.
But you know what, Peter, that can't be achieved in the next 3 weeks. This can.
No, it can't.
We can get a government, we can get a parliament which can bring in these innovations, and I think we should bring in proportional representation.
I think the right government will see this.
How dare we not have proportional representation? Because it's manifestly unfair.
What do you think of proportional representation?
Yes and no. as far as I'm concerned, well, if you go and make the effort to go out and vote, I'm jumping back a little bit here. If you make the effort to vote, you're very important. If you don't make an effort, you want to people, then you're a fool and you're not important.
But in this system, a lot of people would vote in the old system and it wouldn't make any difference. So it's very
That's not the point. You come out to that polling station, you know you've done your bit.
In a way, the old system is breaking down, isn't it? And we can see that by the whole range of new voices we currently have. You know, on the election bus and on the election campaign. I think it is absolutely vital that people cast their vote, and people will be casting their vote now
Look, I'm wearing it.
for all sorts of individuals on different bases than party politics.
During the coalition, they of course wanted, the Liberal Democrats wanted a system of representation that throughout the two-party system potentially. I mean, they wanted
But of course it didn't go through. Why didn't it go through? Why didn't it go through?
It didn't go through. It didn't go through. And you support a party that didn't want it to go through. Yet you sound as if you actually agree with a lot of what Heather and Brian are saying.
But in some respects, I probably do. I'm not a hypocrite. I probably do. But my view is this. If you are inspirational, then right now, amongst all the parties, you've got to go with Conservatives and UKIP. They are the only two aspirational parties.
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why would you vote for someone who's made such a terrible mess over the last 5 years and is now making all sorts of wonderful promises, wonderful ideas? Why didn't he bring them in 5 years ago?
People want to feel that they are going to do well. People do want to feel that they are going to move on up, as it were. And that's a good thing. And, you know, Peter's suggesting that that's what the Conservatives push forward.
Yeah, that's the fundamental thing of Conservatives.
Don't
forget, I was a Conservative for most of my life. I'm not going to tell you what I am. Yes, that's how I was brought up. I absolutely believe that hard work should be rewarded.
Did you ever vote Conservative?
But yes, in the early days I did. Right. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what I voted after that. It's private.
Fine.
Private.
No, absolutely.
But basically, you know, I believe that hard work should be rewarded. But I do not believe that people who are poor and disadvantaged or sick are wasters, are sponges. I do not believe that. They are the people who are paying for our austerity. That's what's happening.
Don't believe that. They believe the opposite of that. They believe these people can be up to become affluent.
It's Cameron's own words. These people are not obviously not trying.
I think, as ever, you know, across all of the different parties, I suspect we all agree with certain different elements of it, whether it's rewarding hard work, whether it's about supporting the health service. And I do think that in the end, you've got to be convinced by your local politician about who best represents you. And I think from the leader's perspective, it is about do we trust you and do we believe in you?
At my age, I am not retired. I've got a long way to go. I've got 2 young baby children. I've got a salary for a long time. Ed Balls, leave me alone.
Can we finish on a good note? Because this woman is saying is fantastic. Please vote for the decent guy in your constituency.
Or woman.
Don't think about
woman.
Of course, man or woman. But don't vote for the party. Vote for the man who will actually represent you in Parliament and won't be in the bar when there's a debate going on.
All right. OK.
I'll go with that.
Peter,
which bar are we talking about? My club.
It's one of yours.
Come to my club. Come to my club. I'm with them.
Too expensive, I've been told. Peter, Heather and Brian, thank you all very much indeed. Yeah,
You're all getting badges because you're all decent people.
There you go.
Yeah, OK. You want the blue one, don't you? Oh, you've got the multi.
He's got multicoloured.
All right. OK, guys. Thank you all very much indeed,
Our
Heather.
pleasure.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Clive. That's very
Now,
spirited, wasn't it?
It was. And I'm going on to something else now, Brian.
Yeah.
OK, I'm going to talk about Google.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
OK, thank you. Yeah, hang on, Heather, you can sit.
Ask for a couple of tickets to the Queen's Theatre.
OK, hang on a second. OK, here we go.